change something in the hospital for him. And, we may be looking at a regression while he's doing so much better currently.
I'm Joe's mom. I've just now got into the meeting.
Hi, Margaret.
Hello.
Is the placement at Cleveland meant to be a short term for rehab?
For rehab, yes, ma'am.
And approximately how long are you estimating that would be?
They haven't given me a specified time, just that he needed rehab till he could get his strength back and come off the oxygen and that sort of stuff so that he could have placement.
Okay.
He is much stronger. Like I said, when he was in there a few weeks ago, he wasn't even able to get out of the bed on his own, and now he was up and down the hall with the walker several times.
So in order for Joe to go to Cleveland for rehab, we need two things: prepayment,
correct,
and an okay from Margaret Hawkins.
Correct.
Margaret?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Jerry.
Uh-huh.
You okay with Joe? Are you okay with Joe going to Cleveland?
No, ma'am, I'm not, because that's done been tried down there with that nursing home and that's not going to work. He don't meet the criteria for that.
Has he been to the home in Cleveland?
Sir?
Did you say that he had tried to?
He's been in the nursing home that belongs to Gainesville down there at Northeast Georgia Hospital, and it did not work. It did not work to get him into here close to me. He don't meet the criteria for nursing home.
It's not for a long-term nursing home.
Oh, that's what they've told me before. That's what they've told me before, and I know what. I feel like everybody's wanting to pass the buck, and I'm tired of my son being thrown in one garbage can right after the other. I'm his mother. I've been fighting for Joe for nearly 40 years, and it's not his fault. It's not my fault. It's because of the judicial system and the state and the institutions. The reason he is in the condition that he's in right now. It's not fair. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to the family. And Joe needs to be back up here. They need to step up to the plate, find him a place back in Walker County close to me where I can keep up with Joe and visit him.
Is there such a place in Walker County, Michael?
No, sir, not that we've been able to find. The closest place that, as you know, was the home in Fairmont, and the home provider did go and visit Joe at the hospital, and unless he improves through a rehab stay at a nursing home, she said that she wasn't able to provide the care that he needs at this time. Now, if he were to improve, then she certainly would reconsider.
Improve to what degree, Michael?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
I mean, I would imagine to the same degree that he would have to improve to be able to go to benchmark, which would be not on oxygen and able to ambulate somewhat on his own.
Well, Joe's got to have a reason to live, and he needs to be close to his mother, and he needs to be close to his family because he improves rapidly when he gets to have personal contact with me.
Well, Melinda, from my understanding, you're saying that Joe is more ambulatory today, but is still at times in need of oxygen, correct?
Correct.
And aren't there lots of people in the community who need oxygen and have portable oxygen?
there is, but for us to be able to provide that here, we would need a higher level of care than what we currently provide. But there is, there's a possibility he could get placed with a provider somewhere and have CNAs come in or nurses come in around the clock. I'm not sure what kind of funding is available, but it just requires more than just your average person because of the aspirating when he eats, which is he aspirates every consistency he eats, which you're looking at, something that could be very traumatic for him very quickly, and that's the need for the suction. And since he is aspirating, that's the need for the oxygen because that fluid in food is going into the lungs, and it's causing low oxygen levels.
I don't believe any non-nursing home is licensed to provide that level of care, whether it's CLA or personal care home. So, from what I'm hearing, Ms. Hawkins, we all want to get him closer to you. But at this point of his treatment needs, those treatment needs, there's not a provider that can meet his needs in your area. But there is one in Cleveland. And if he could go there and continue to show progress and improve,
He's not going to do that. I can tell you that right now. He's not going to do that.
he can walk back closer,
He's not going to do that.
working closely to have a home for him when he gets strong enough to go to a non-nursing setting.
He needs to be close to me where I can work with him so many hours or whatever.
We're all working in that, with that
Well,
goal.
he can't go to Cleveland, Georgia, because the nursing home rehab's done been tried down there and it didn't work. And it'll be the same thing over there.
Are you aware of a facility close to you?
No, I am not aware of a home. The only option that you have is to find him someplace here and get somebody to help take care of him. You'd have to set up a rent a house or do something like that because Joe is not going to do well in any kind of nursing home facility. That's done been tried over and over. Feeding tubes has been tried over and over. He's been through too much abuse in the institutions, and I know everything that's happened to my son, and he didn't choose to be in the health that he's got now and the physical illnesses. Had it not been for all those years and the abuse and stuff that went on, he's lucky to even be alive. And I think that I'm getting older and Joe's getting older, and I think we should be able to enjoy our time and our life days together. And this is what I am, I'm always going to speak up for Joe. He's my son, and I love my kids very much.
We all,
You got too many incompetent people up here in the workforce.
we all support.
They did not notify me when they took him to Gainesville. They gave me a hard way to go up here. They said I did not have any rights to Joe. And they pulled too much underhanded stuff, and it's just not right. And I'm going to speak out, and I'm going to speak up for him. It didn't feel good when they sneaked him out of here and didn't notify me. Put him in the hospital up here. They didn't notify me. Called me when they got him down there. It's all been passing the buck. Get rid of Joe. Throw him in another garbage dumpster. Let him die. Get rid of him and his mama, and then we won't have no more trouble.
Michael, what do you recommend?
I mean, all we can do is look, but there's no guarantees that we're going to be able to find a provider that's going to be willing to allow Joe to come into their home. You know, my only concern is, you know, Margaret, as we've talked about before, renting a house for Joe and setting up a facility to provide the care that Joe needs is way beyond what we're able to do. We don't have this is not something that a mental health program does, and we do not have the structure, nor the expertise, nor the licensure, or right now the funding to be able to provide that level of care. What we are trying to do is to, you know, and that's why we had hoped that Ms. Brooks at Fairmont would be able to provide the care for him, is because she has cared for Joe before, and as you and I discussed, he did well when he was in her home.
But let me tell you the end of that.
Until she sold that home, and when she sold that home is when he ended up at the crisis unit in Rome.
And again, I was not notified when she sold that home. You know what happened? Two of the work hands got in a fight and got Joe upset, and another work hand called Whitfield County Sheriff, and they come out there and throwed my son on the ground, handcuffed him, and it was just a horrible thing for Joe and me.
I understand that, Margaret, but you know.
And it's time they stepped up. Now they got. I don't care. I don't want it to happen I don't want it to happen for Joe in the future, and I have a problem with trusting anyone anymore.
Well, I don't think anyone here on this call wants anything but the best for Joe.
Well, then they need to work toward getting the best for Joe, and he needs to be back here close to me, because I'm not giving up. And the nursing homes has been tried. Everything in the world's been tried with Joe, and everything has failed through. And you need some competent work hands that cares about people like my son, and cares about keeping me notified and involving me more in his care and keeping me updated, but that didn't happen. And Joe is not some animal or sick dog. Joe is a human being. And any of us could be in the same shape as Joe's in. It could have been one of us.
Margaret, as I've told you before many times, that, you know, the best possibility that we have right now is for him to go to a facility where he can improve, and hopefully then be able to be placed at the home in Fairmont, which is only about 50 miles from you. That's closer than Gainesville.
No,
And
it ain't gonna work.
Continue to try to find a place that we could get him back even closer than that. But as it stands now, if Joe doesn't somehow improve to where he no longer needs the oxygen and is able to ambulate, it's going to be very difficult for us to find that place.
Well, I think the bottom line is, when he was transferred down there, you got some incompetent work hands that did no longer want to care for my son. They proved that.
That's not true, and you know that.
It is true. It is true, because I had a meeting with him.
But we couldn't care for Joe in the facility he was in. It was placing him more at risk for us to try to provide the level of care for Joe that he needed.
Well, hey.
The crisis home was a temporary placement until we could try to find something else, and we were in the process of trying to develop another placement for him. But once Joe got to Gainesville, his health
Well, I'll just put it this way. He was shipped way down there without my knowing anything about what they did. They didn't notify me. They waited till they got him down there and then called me. They would not let me have any responsibility of Joe when he was up here at Horizon. I know what went on. And that is not right. It wasn't Joe's choice. It wasn't my choice. And I wanted Joe to stay close to me because he did so much better. And so that's just the way it is. And it's just not going to work in Cleveland, Georgia. It hasn't worked anywhere else. And if you send Joe over there, you might as well send him to a death chamber.
Michael, do you think you could talk to Jody and find out what level of health Joe needs to be in to come to Fairmont? Because
certainly, but I do believe that what we discussed earlier is what's going to have to happen. I think at this point in time, in the conditions, he would have to improve, and Jody would probably have to go back and see it at that point. I don't know that Jody, but I can talk with her. I don't know that Jody is able to make that decision at this point in time.
well, I think it would be helpful if we knew how much improvement Joe needs to have before she is willing to consider him being there. And
It's not just...
there are lots of people out in the community on full-time oxygen. I'm not understanding why the necessity for oxygen is a barrier. There are lots of people outpatient who have portable oxygen.
That's true, but Jody, as a home provider, can choose to take someone that is less needy than Joe is. And I think, that as a business person, that's probably what she's looking at. It's a high risk, high liability to take a patient like Joe as opposed to other individuals out there that need the type of care that her home can provide. So I think it's more of a choice on her part to look at something that's going to be less demanding for her and her staff.
And it's also a matter of licensure.
Correct. And that was the problem that we're having at Horizon.
There's a certain level of nursing care that a personal care home cannot do.
Well, you know that because of the nature of GAO, I cannot make any recommendations for placement. But Margaret and I spoke last week. The nursing facility that's in Cleveland, within that system, there is a nursing facility called Dade, which is in Trenton, correct, Margaret?
Yes.
So I cannot make that recommendation, but perhaps, Michael, you could talk to Jamie and find out, since that facility is in the same system as Cleveland, if short-term rehab is available at that facility.
And where is it located?
In Trenton, Georgia, Dade Rehab.
Okay.
Which is still about 30 miles from Margaret. But I have talked with Ms. Farmer about that particular facility. I'll be glad to do so again. Margaret told me about that on a conversation I had with her week before last, and I shared that information with Jamie, but I'll be glad to do that again.
Because it sounds like, Margaret, that the short-term rehab is going to have to take place in a skilled nursing facility.
Yes, I understand that, but not no 100-something miles away. And if they have to put him in one, I would recommend Dade Rehab, where I can get over there, and I also have close kin folks over there.
So, Michael, is that something you're willing to pursue with Jamie?
Sure, I'll call her as soon as we get off this call.
Well, if sounds like that's our next step. Unless his condition improves significantly in the next several days, then Michael, if you'll let us know what, if any, progress is made with that particular facility. Trent.
Well, I was told that Joe was walking on his own now a couple of days ago, because I've been keeping really close communication with him down there.
Margaret, this is Melinda, the benchmark RN. I think you missed the part when I was updating.
Oh, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about other people at the hospital.
Oh, no ma'am. No ma'am, I was just going to update you on his current status that I saw today.
Okay.
I got off the elevator. Joe was ambulating in the hall on a walker unsteadily, but he was with physical therapy. So he's not up and about on his own without any assistance.
Okay. But I was told he was.
I was told that too. That's why I had to go see with my own eyes.
Michael,
Yes, sir.
can I ask you to take the lead in arranging our next conference call when there's something to report?
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to do that.
Okay. Anything else anyone wants to bring up or question?
Michael, I'm just wondering what we need to, who needs to be on board when it comes to the prepayment for the short-term rehab? Would we need to talk to Bettner first? To
That's
Charlie?
me.